Howdy folks. Today we are looking at a Panasonic RE-7671. I picked this up pretty much because it looked cool. This thing just screams, 70s. It's like, you look at this and you all of a sudden have shag carpet. And yeah, it's just an interesting piece of kit. Not really sure how it's going to sound. It supposedly does work, which has it, not completely in my wheelhouse. I don't know what to do with something that actually works. So, maybe there'll be something little we can futz with. Otherwise, I'll probably just, clean up the casing a bit here. It looks like it's a little schmutzed up. I don't know, maybe play around with some LEDs or something. We'll see if there's anything interesting we can do with it before we turn it back around and send it out to somebody to enjoy for its intended purpose, as opposed to just being, desk art and YouTube fodder. So yeah, let's, even though this thing theoretically works, I'm going to stick with my standard order of operations, and I am going to open it up and make sure there's nothing scary inside before I plug it in. Okay, so it looks like the four on the outside are what just holds the case on. The schematic in here is a pretty cool artifact. I dig that. And the stringing guide on the tuner. It's a neat little bit of history. Yeah, it looks actually really quite clean. I don't see anything jumping out at me. I don't see capacitors leaking anywhere or burst or anything like that. And yeah, really nothing is jumping out as in bad shape. So this could be actually as usable as they said. Let's see, we've got a bunch of lamps down in here. What type are these? These just 2-pin or screwed in. Not really sure, and I don't want to break them trying to find out. So let's plug it in and see what it does, and if any of the lights are out, then we can investigate further without feeling bad about breaking them. Looks like all of our lamps are good, which, is great, but I was really hoping I'd be able to play with it without worrying about it. But look at that. That's pretty slick. Yeah, definitely a fan of that look. But I am going to see if I can figure out what these are. Okay, they are 6.3 volt. These are your normal, 0.25 amps. And that's an E10 screw base. So let's see if the others will come out and if we can have a little fun with this thing. I'm not sure what the Loctite type stuff, the shmoo on here is all about. It's interesting that it's got those little cardboard collars on there that seem like they just hold the they just hold the socket together, which on the, which one was that? I don't know, I'll throw a card up so you can see it. But on the other amp we were looking at that had the split socket, and that we had to solder back together, that definitely could have benefited from having that little collar holding it together. Yeah, the red is definitely too dim. The blue is definitely too dim. The green isn't half bad. It goes with the look. The soft white isn't bad. Not as good as the original though. The last thing I want to try is some cool. Whoop. I've got some cool whites that I want to try as well. Yeah, honestly, that's not a bad look at all. So I think if I were to replace the bulbs, I would go with the bright white, the cool white LEDs. But I think for this one, I'm actually just going to put the originals back in. I like the original look. They were working fine. And yeah, we're going to put those back in, and that'll be that. Show you a quick side-by-side there of the bright LEDs, the, you know, cool white LEDs versus the original incandescents. The cool white LEDs are definitely more readable, but I like the orange ambiance of the originals. So yeah, I think we'll keep going. All right. From the back of the casing, you know that this here is the quote-unquote internal antenna, which is, yeah, it's this wire here, which runs all the way over here. Yeah, so I'm curious what that's about. You can hook up an external between them, or I guess this is internal. So that'll be fun to play with. Fun little cost-saving measure here. The tuning knob and the selector knob both have the little notch on them, even though on the tuning knob it doesn't make any sense. So they're actually, they're just the same part, even though the tuning knob doesn't need the pointer. Kind of interesting. This one doesn't sit any way that makes any sense. So that's all the way to the right, and that's all the way to the left. All the way to the right. All the way to the left is like 280 degrees. So we'll just kind of guesstimate this here. So if we put that there, then that rotates. Yep. Seems pretty good. Doesn't have a detent in the middle, so you don't really know where the middle is, but all right. And then the last one is the on-off switch. That's on, that's off. So line that up with off, then on in your volume. All right, so from here, the next thing I want to do is actually do a little bit of listening. And I finally have a USB cable to cut up. So I'm not going to have to fight with a bunch of stupid crap again. I gotta say, the Amazon Basics, did I call this a USB cable? RCA cable, whatever. RCA cable is surprisingly nice. I actually feel a little bit bad chopping this thing up, but you know, it was like, I don't know, $5-10, something pretty inconsequential. So there we go. As you can see, it's a lot more insulation than it is actually wire. It's not super surprising. little bit of hum to it right off the bat, not too terrible. All right, I would say the tuner works, and the automatic frequency control also works, which is pretty cool. I don't want to do too much playing with the radio for fear of getting a copy strike, which would be pretty lame for a couple seconds of scratchy music on the radio. So now I'm going to move over to the phono input, which is the only other option on this guy. It actually does not have a tape input. Alright, seems like we might have something to work on this thing after all. The phono stage is really, really weak. I would not consider the phono stage there to be working. It kind of almost works. But that definitely does not count as working. I realized pretty quickly after finishing up the video yesterday that the phono input probably wasn't a real phono input. And I did a little bit of research and found this video that I'll put a little card up for. And I found the instruction manual for a different model, but something very close, which talks about the phono/tape input. And what it comes down to is the record player that was sold with this guy was preamplified on its own, so it's a line level input. So the reason the phono input was so low is because it's not a real phono. It doesn't have a real phono stage. It is a line level tape input. So it works fine with, you know, our tablet playing Luminous Polychem, and, you know, we're happy there. So yeah, I think that will do for today. Thank you as always for watching, and we will see you in the next one.